Simon and I are really, really good friends. And so, in fact, I was with him today. I had the pleasure of Simon's company earlier on. But anyhow, we said we were going to write a record. And we said, look, I tell you what, we got to make it different. You know, there's no point in us trying to reinvent or revisit the new wave of British heavy metal. You know, technology's moved on, sound has moved on, listeners have moved on. It's a great part of our history, and it's a great part of heavy metal history, the new wave of British heavy metal. But you know, a lot of younger listeners will just basically know the letters. A lot of not even know what new wave
Sure.
metal is. So we decided, made a conscious decision to sit down and write a new record, and that's what we did. And the format of that was, we wanted to take old style riffs like we would have done in the past, sort of, you know, your usual typical rock, hard rock, heavy metal riff, and then sprinkle some modern dust over the top of it. And that's, if you break down the songs and you listen to them, they are basically old style heavy metal riffs with
Sure.
a lot of fancy guitar effects. You know, I mean, one of the interesting things, Chris, has been that the number of journalists have said to me, you know, you're using synths and using this. There's no synths on it. It's McBride taking guitar effects and guitar pedals to another level. So with the old riffs and the new modern sounds, we've come up with that. The other thing as well too, we did think about, okay, we need to have a couple of tracks that will be somewhat radio friendly, because it'll help us get a little bit of promotion and help us get the name out there and maybe get us into markets where we've never been before. And I think we've done that with a couple of tracks, especially with the second single, The Chosen One. I mean, you know, some of my wife's friends, female friends, say, "Hey, Ray, I really like your new music. You know, it's not like that usual angry music that you play. You
Right.
know, it's kind of good." So I was like, "Well, you know what? That's nice that, you know, non-metal people are actually saying, hey, you know what? It's very hard. It's very noisy, but I like it." And I thought, well, that's a win-win, you know.
Right, definitely. Well, let me ask you, let me pull back to Simon for a minute. Obviously, as you mentioned, he's in Deep Purple. How has that changed the collaborative way that you guys work, if at all? Only because he's in, a much bigger band, which, look, I'm playing devil's advocate here, and you can tell me I'm completely wrong. I don't know Simon, but I would think if he's got a riff and he's got to say, well, where do I put it? He puts it in the bigger project.
Well, Chris, I mean, 100%. You know, I mean, 100%. I mean, Deep Purple is obviously Simon's priority. Deep Purple
Sure.
mortgage and is feeding his family. So Deep Purple is his priority, and they will always get first pick on anything he does. But you know, I can't speak highly enough of Simon. Like, if Simon put his mind to it, he could churn out. And when I'm used churn out, that's the wrong word, because that sounds like he's producing a lot of junk and a lot of rubbish. Simon could produce 10 unbelievable riffs a day. I mean, he is a music machine. You want? I mean, I was with him earlier on. I dropped down to the studio where we recorded this record. So I dropped down to see him, just really to sort of catch up. How you doing? Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
He went in. We had a little fiddle. He was showing me some of his new gear, and I've got this, and I've got that, and I'll give you demos on this, and would you hear this, and would you hear that? And I mean, Chris, the his solo stuff, which he's getting ready to do a new solo record. He's going to do, he's constantly writing, constantly recording, and constantly putting things in his music bank. I mean, if I was to get the Deep Purple cast-offs, I would
Mhm.
be a happy boy, because Deep Purple cast-offs are absolutely spectacular.